You must appreciate this challenge and find out how you can function within this. We call it dictatorship of the majority. Others will say that the minority will have their say, majority will have their way. You've heard that before. That is what we call dictatorship of the majority. And this is how it functions. It's a manipulation of constitutions. Not that we don't have constitution, but the manipulation. And the manipulation involves security agencies, where even the police, military, are under some form of manipulation by the dominant political party in government, judiciary. And so there are people who feel that when they have electoral challenges, the best place to go should not be the courts. Because when you go, they won't get anything. And so after elections, if you want to do anything, then mobilize people, go out there on the street. Choboi. Now, this is something everybody is praying for Nigeria at the moment, that they would rather use the court. But you realize that there are those now who think that even if you go to court, you get nothing. And when we get there, that's where violence, you can't stop it. When people lose confidence and trust in state institutions because there's a form of manipulation. Electoral laws, sometimes media, and electoral results can be manipulated. And another challenge we are observing is the second point. Terms of office in some African countries have been abused over the years due to the fact that the majority in government supported it. You go to some countries, it's 4-4. Ghana, 4-4. You break the 8 thing they are talking about. Some 5-5. But if they have majority in parliament, they can manipulate constitutions and the police and the electoral system. Now, let me give you some examples. I hope they are clear enough. You go to Equatorial Guinea, and the president who should have been in office for 8 years stayed in office for 36 years because he had the majority on his side. So close election, then they change the constitution and give him extension. Close another election, they give him extension. You understand? Whatever he sent to parliament will be endorsed. Angola, we are always, they've been able to have election, but Dos Santos was in office for 36 years. He shouldn't have been in office more than 10 years. 36. He was even grooming his daughter to take over from him. Cameroon, he's still there. Pobia, He's gone beyond 33 years. And he's still there. He's still counting. Uganda. Now his son is the topmost military officer. He's not afraid of anybody. Museveni has been in office more than 30 years. He shouldn't have gone beyond 8 years. Uganda. This man is dead and gone. But Mugabe had 28 years in Zimbabwe instead of 8. Chad, 25 years. Sudan, 22. Algeria, 20. Gambia, 19 years. DR Congo, 18. In fact, our own Togo. The guy is still there. He took over from his father. Now, you may think, but that is not Ghana. We nearly reached here. Until the 2020 elections where we had the current hung parliament, you realize that anything that moved from the presidency, the executive, to parliament was endorsed, was accepted. Some even less than 48 hours. Are you aware of that? It's the 2020 elections that gave us the hung parliament, and now is becoming tough for the party in government to move in so many things. Now they have vetted some ministers. More than 2 weeks. They have not even been able to table their report on the floor of parliament. Previously, who born dog? You understand what I'm talking about? That you've done vetting of ministers, trade and industry more than 2 weeks. And they've not been able to even present their report because now the minority group will not accept the report, and therefore you can't move. You see, and it's because of the hung parliament. So these are the things we are talking about. And it is with us. And these are the areas we must open our eyes. Now the CI is not saying that we'll use Ghana card to vote. So use it to register. So you still have your voter ID. But instead either a passport or you register with guarantee. The previous system, you could register with guarantors. Then we had contractors. If you don't have passport, you don't have anything, you can look for somebody in the neighborhood to go and guarantee. And now that became business. One person could guarantee for 20. And that is what the EC is trying to avoid. And you realize it's not been easy. If it had been the previous thing, either MPP dominating our parliament, they wouldn't have called the EC chairperson to parliament and all that. Would have finished. You see, so it's only the 2020 elections that has changed something for us. But we were close to dictatorship of the majority. Many of the loans that we are struggling with were pushed through because the minority will have their say, majority will have their way. And if you are interested in matters of peace, keep your eye on such areas. Now, the concern of the churches, and not only in Ghana, in Africa, when it comes to election, one is how do we create awareness among the electorates on the consequences, dangers of violence in our electoral processes and avoid electoral violence? How do we do it? Because it affects the economy, it affects lives, young people, and it affects us, church also. Election is about leadership identification. There should not be destruction of lives and properties in the process. You are becoming president. Why should somebody's son, daughter die for you to become president or member of parliament? You see? How do we get Christians to bring their faith values and Christian principles into public service? Esedun Ketia is a Presbyterian. I hope you know that. You know or you don't know? He's been a presbyter before. Sekwa. And Ofosuampofo is an elder, Church of Pentecost. You know that. Dan Boche is a good Presbyterian. You know that. Now, if we are having elections full of elders, presbyters, and why should we be worried? Where is our Christian faith? Many of MPs and Nanado is rich, Accra rich, when you Accra, Chebi Presbyterian. I hope you know that. President Mahama is Assemblies of God. You know that. How come that we are having elections involving these people? And it's like Ghana is about to break. You feel the tension. You know where is our Christian values? The Electoral Commission, current one, is a Christian. Charlotte, Christian. If we have Christians supervising elections, why should we be so afraid? And the more we go through what we go through during the election, the feeling, fear, that people hide water, they withdraw money. Those who have money, the 2020 election, I had some big bank person. He sent his wife and children to US. He didn't vote. And close to the election, he told me that he was going. After the election, when things calm down, then he will come. We are having an election. Why should you are running away? But you are the people funding them. So those of us who don't have money to run away, we will stay. But we're Christian values, and we must be worried with our 71% Christian population and close to elections like we are in a community of unbelievers. Christians who hold political and other public offices must portray Christ in these areas, and we are not getting it. Another major concern, how do we get institutions of state like the police electoral commission, judiciary, to be professional, rather than they are being tilted towards certain interest parties. The concern of having all people and political parties to be treated equally under the laws governing elections is a struggle. Remember, the topic is strengthening our advocacy. So we must know where the weaknesses are so that we know what we are going to strengthen. How do we get our elections to shift focus and attention from violence? Now from here, we hope you will also go and run series of workshops for your presbytery, ESR, and district and other. Now, this is where the concentration should be. Is it possible for us to have elections without bloodshed, violence, insult, cursing? And let the contest be a contest of ideas. Who is ready to serve the constituency, serve this nation better? We need a shift of focus. And that is where the various advocacy bodies, churches, must make intervention. Because there's a real need for a paradigm shift. Something is not right when we are close to election in this country. And we need to respond to that. Again, democracy must contribute to national development. Democracy must bring education, quality education, good health, road, employment, prosperity, wealth creation. How do we get our election to concentrate on bread and butter issues, issues about the common good, rather than who is from our area, who is this and who is that, and therefore why we should not vote for this person because he's not our countryman and that kind of thing. We have a lot of work to do in that area because it seems democracy is not serving us well as far as matters of bread and butter, development, quality life issues are concerned. Now let me tell you, so far, what the contribution of the churches have been. But still keep in mind that these are the things we want to strengthen. The church has remained as institution of calm. And if you are ESR director, you must understand this. Now explain how that should function. The church in this country and in the African continent, we have functioned as institution of calm and advocacy. I'll explain. Then public education and sensitization, media management, organization of personalities for intervention, mediation, and reconciliation, participation in the electoral process with electoral commission, provision of Christian ministry and spiritual support. But let me pick them one by one. Can I move on? The institution of calm, the church's role as institution of calm functions in this way. So let's move on. Networking among ecumenical partners. So Christian Council of Ghana, Ghana Cali Bishop Conference, and GPCC. Over the years, we have done that on the national level. I have coordinated heads of churches before on this. What we have not been able to do, and if you are the regional heads for your churches, is how do we bring networking at the national level to the regional levels? We don't do very well in that area. Moderator, presiding bishop, bishops, and others come together, Catholic, GPCC, Christian Council, and they do a lot of intervention, calling for calm. But at the regional, not to even mention district level, the churches are not strong. And there's a mixing link there. And this is where we will need people like you heading the regions to begin to identify specific roles that you can play. I'm not saying we do nothing. I'm saying we must strengthen. Cooperation among religious bodies. Now please get this. There's a difference between ecumenical bodies and religious bodies. You know the two are not the same. when you talk about ecumenical bodies, it means everybody is a Christian, but Christian with different manifestation. So if I bring Catholic, charismatics, blah, blah, together, that is ecumenical body. But if I bring another body that involves Muslims, if I go outside the Christian faith and I bring, then it's either you call it faith-based organization or religious body. So when you are talking about ecumenical body, what do you do? Call yourself so only when you are dealing with Christians. But Christians can be SDA, even Jehovah's Witness. But if you are dealing with other people, then it's not ecumenical body. It's faith-based. Everybody has his or her faith-based or religious body. Now, we do that in this country, where, again, CC, Christian Council, Ghana Catholic Bishop Conference, Office of the National Chief Imam, Ahmadiyya Movement, also we move. So that's another layer. The first layer is the ecumenical bodies. We move. Then another layer. In fact, DR Congo brought 21 of the second layer to spend 1 week in this country for us to train them. Because they wanted to get rid of Kabila and it wasn't easy. But we succeeded. So for the first time, so many years, they went by, and they were here 1 week, and I also went there to sustain the capacity building, and they've been able to change him. It's not easy, but they are trying. So that line is very, very important. There's nothing wrong working with people of other faith, Christians, Muslim, traditional leaders. Protect what is your own. When you are dealing with chiefs, whatever, you must know that you are a Christian, you are a Presbyterian. Build wall. Don't compromise your uniqueness, your unique identity. So a ecumenical relation or faith-based relation doesn't mean that I throw. Understand? So when you are in your relations, like you are building your walls. When you are into faith-based organization, you are building your bridges. I hope you're okay. And we need all. Learn to do all. Don't feel so uncomfortable being with, say, chiefs, Muslims, whatever, but always protect your uniqueness. 2016 election, Denmark ambassador gave us money, Christian, Muslim, and we were playing football, we were in Tamale, Christian, Muslim doing things together. But there are other things we insisted we do that only as Christians, and others will do with us. So keep that in mind. In a ecumenical relation, you build your walls, you build your bridges. Now, these partnerships are aimed at presenting a united religious front in matters of national interest for the good of the citizens. When I do that, there's only one thing, that we need the common good. When I work with Muslims, we just want Ghana to be peaceful, the common good. And so they present communique on political and social issues that we talk to all of them. Christian, Muslim, your leaders are talking, listen. If you're a Muslim, you see the chief imam. If you're a Christian, if you're a Catholic, you see your bishops. Let's move on. So, and then they do collective engagement. We meet the Electoral Commission, we meet the IGP, we meet all of them. We need the parties. So, when you are doing collective engagement, you don't go only as Presbyterian or Methodist. You mobilize yourself, strong force, move and meet, say, President Mahama or Nana Akufo-Addo or the chairperson of Electoral Commission, and they open their eyes, and everybody, and sometimes even traditional leaders, it gives us the force we need to negotiate. You remember 2020, our church also put a high-profile people together in the name of Peace Ambassador. I believe this project is what has brought us here. And that also worked very well. My concern only here is that it's like we were a bit late. The peace ambassadors came in close to elections. I interviewed some of them. I hosted a TV program, What is Next, on GTV live program, and I hosted Professor Adobin, one of the peace ambassadors. By the time they were ready to move, we were close to elections. Our dear brother, if we would do Peace Ambassadors 2024, then maybe let's start identifying them now, bringing them together, building the capacity, helping them to know other things that we can do so that they can be more visible and have bigger impact. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But that was one unique contribution. In fact, we became more or less the church, as at that time in Ghana. I believe moving for other churches will follow us. But that became our unique contribution. My only concern has something to do with the timing. Let's move on. Public education. The churches do awareness. We prepare materials, and our brother, either Christian Council will prepare the material, you will use it. Or you can also task some people to prepare your own electoral material. If you want to use me as your consultant, I can do that for a little fee, Because all those things we are doing for other Christian Council in other countries. So it will not take me any additional effort to prepare the materials, And the capacity building workshops, that's what we are doing. But it should not be here alone. You do it at the national level like this, but do it, people should understand. And it must be a comfortable platform to work on. There are people who feel that, you see, they don't see this kind of things as part of our ministries. So quickly, you bring them together and let them feel comfortable that when they are doing this kind of ministry, they are also serving the national needs, the common good of our country. Media engagement. Yes, the moderators and the others who do the national level. But in the communities, now you have the community radios. So if I have a district minister who understands this presbytery, people like you, I can use the community radio, that kind of thing we can do. Meeting EC and others, leave that for the big people. But at the regional level, district level, community level, we can use, Asafo, I think after this call, I will plead with you that you do subsequent calls outside. You are my friend. You are my friend. But normally when I'm teaching in class, a single call attract 5 cedis. Then we use it to buy tom-tom. So moving forward, if you pick a call, you pay 5 cedis. You buy tom-tom, we share. But if you know you won't pay, then either you pick your calls outside or you put your phone on silent. This one is Peace Project, correct? So what I'm saying is, when we talk about media engagement, we should not create impression that there must be some superstar somewhere. Now we have community radios almost every village, every town. If we understand the issues, you don't need to be complex. Just call for peace. Being, just calm. That kind of thing you can do. Because district ministers can do. YPG people can do. I'm happy we have some young people among us. Can't you gather YPG? Are you YPG or YAF? You can't be YAF. Yeah. Can't you, YPG? Can't you bring some YPG people together that the old people, they have their turn and their time. Why should I die for them? Why should me also, my future will come? don't die for them. Can't you say that kind of thing? You can. When you do that, you are becoming an agent of calm. And that one, you can do it on social media, right? Design your own program. Get some camera people, design something that attracts young people. We need our life. We have a future. We won't destroy ourselves. We won't let them create problem for us to solve tomorrow. Statements short like that. Our elders, don't create problem for us to solve tomorrow. Can't you say this? They will beat you. This is what we are calling youth-friendly messages. In our campuses, short like they do. TikTok messages all over. That's what we mean. So don't take media engagement to be where you need some superstars. Then issuance of pastoral letter here is only the moderator that can do that. Communicates. Maybe Presbytery Conference will want to. Press releases to our big people. And like I said, our young people. Target the young people because they suffer most. They suffer. They put them in buses and poor people and give them sometimes 20 cedis and fried rice. I'm telling you, you conduct your own interview, what they get. But they come back with slaps. Some are mean. Let's protect our youth. And at least let us let's run specific programs targeting the young people. Protect them. Posters, banners, billboards, flyers, T-shirts, these are things we all do. And then I happen to be a member of this for the 2020 election. Samate was also a member. YC put eminent people together to advise all of them. But there's another level of organization of eminent personality also. Christian Council has been doing that. That will put, and we do that together with others, including Menshia, put people together, and we find that they sign peace accord in public, Rawlings and all those things. Previously, we've done it. Whether it worked well or not is another thing. So there's a way you bring traditional leaders, Muslim statement, to play advisory role to the extent that even they commit the presidential candidate to sign peace accord. That will become reference document moving forward. And such interventions, I want to believe, have quenched problems. Presidential candidates are made to sign. We need to. But another area we need to consider that churches engage the Electoral Commission. And church leaders, in fact, like I said, we were given accreditation, official accreditation, to monitor the election. I see one or two people here who were part of it, right? Okay, let's move on. I have been a member of IPAC. IPAC is Inter-Party Advisory Committee. That's where they fight, NDC, MPP, all of them. They fight. When you go to that meeting, and they all tell you, I go to church, I go to church. Kabila is SDA. And you go, American ambassador is there, High Commission UK is there, all of them. No, we have problem. All of them know, MPP and this, that I'm in the room with them, IPAC. And churches must be interested in things like that, in the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. We must be in, the people there are our members. And so churches must also be encouraged. Now, this is another unique role that our chairs, table, sometimes during election, long queue. Church, if you have plastic chairs, tables, canopy, you can just arrange with the district or that we will bring our item. That is our contribution. Beyond prayer. Pray, correct. But bring your chairs, your canopies, any other item to support the process. Then we collaborate. Beloved, the bishop of this presbytery is with us. Presbytery moderator, you are welcome. We are happy to have you here. You see how we miss you. Woman in TM, she and say, hey, Asante Fuoma Giana Mani. But now that you are here, we feel welcome. Please have your seat. Okay. Papa, we are reflecting on strengthening our advocacy during elections. So, we are talking about collaboration with state institutions. And the churches have done that, Institute of Economic Affairs, Institute of, Democratic Governance, National Peace Council. We have National Peace Council at the regional and district levels. So you can also collaborate with them. And after this workshop, look for those at the regional levels who are your National Peace Council and those you can work with. Sometimes you should not go, even if you want to die, don't die alone. Die with other people. And the Account Proverbs says, so instead of look for people who share similar, they move. Look for Methodist people, Catholic bishop, traditional leaders, Muslim leaders, and move together when you are facing challenges at the regional, district, even local level. Now, the churches over the years have also operated here provision of Christian ministry and spiritual support. And this must be important. Election is just a process of seeking God's will for the nation. We have elections in the Bible. This is how we must understand it. It's not MPP, NDC affair. Every election is about the future. It is like singing, "Guide me, O thou great Jehovah." Election is a spiritual exercise. Let us make it so. But I'm not calling for what some of our friends, some pastors, prophets are doing, who will win and who will lose. That is not our mandate. If this person does not win, I will ban my child. No. Because the process is such that the discernment will come out of the election, our role is to facilitate the process. We should not take over and start telling people who will be the president and who will lose and who will win and who people should vote for and who we should not vote for. Facilitate that spiritual journey with the people. And we do that with our prayer meetings, with ordinary Ghanaians, our politicians. Keep in mind, we are seeking God's will. Prayer and fasting, national prayer meetings. We don't only need it at the national level. My time is up. Thank you. We need it also regional. And let's use our pulpit to discuss matters of tolerance, forgiveness, seeking direction. And let people know that in election you can win or lose. Let's move on. Now, this is the challenge. So now the strengthening bit is here. For many people, election is winning at all costs. Election as do and die. This is a weak link that we must address. We must start raising our voices that this should not be that you are going to election and you will win at all costs. It's wrong. Those who do that don't understand democracy. They are not Democrat. We need Democrats to practice democracy. This is where the violence begins. People who think that I must win at all costs. Election is a game that has winners and losers. Develop posters, billboards, and quickly let people in your church know that in election you can win or you will lose. Psych yourself, psych your mother, psych your people that you can win, you can also lose. And when you are praying for them, pray that the Lord's will be done. Not that my church member must win. God will win now. Anyhow. So contestants must accept to use the legal provisions to address electoral disputes. Not mobilizing people for the streets. Let's go. Then monetization, money is taking over merit. Raise your voices quickly. Now, primaries, delegates. Some people almost see so they don't care. Delegates are going for money. Let us preach, start preaching and start teaching. Like I said, we need a shift of focus. Leadership is service. Bring people to this. You want to be my MP, assemblyman, president. It is service, not personal comfort. We are losing the battle here. So now there are young people straight from the university, before even they find a wife, they are into politics. They don't have the experience. As for the wives, they get them easily because let's come on board quickly. Inducement is a problem. And that is why when some sell their houses, some take loans. That is why election has become do and die, or die be die. And we should not sit down. And some of our church members are becoming partisan. So partisan. You go to church and some pastors are guilty. I've seen that even in Kumasi here. And you are too bad, we are not so full. Sorry, don't you know some of your church members have also lost and they are crying? They came to church for you to comfort them, only to see you in white. Please monitor the partisanship emerging in our churches. Make the church a welcoming place for everybody. NDC must feel welcome. MPP must feel welcome. Be a father figure. We are losing that, especially our friends on the other side, Prophet so-and-so, Prophet so-and-so. When I go to church, I don't go there because it's NDC church or MPP church. I go to church because I am in the house of God, fellowship of believers. We are losing that in this country at the moment. Let's move on. Now, the challenge is lack of capacity of church leaders. Some of our people want to come in, but they don't know how to do it. They feel they are not ready. Please help them. Some also coming recently. I've heard a minister, I think a Methodist minister, who had preached a sermon talking about who he voted for, and I felt you shouldn't have gone to that extent. You want to play the game, at the end of the day, and I dream that home. So when you find us, we have red lines that we don't cross. Train people. And this idea that politics is secular, it's not spiritual, it's not true. I'll pick that briefly on public witness. And Christian services and ministries function best in peaceful and secure. Now, look at Boku. If you have a pastor at Boku, how does it feel? We can do our ministries when we have a peaceful environment. So don't think that I don't care. You care. You must care. When we have violence, it affects ministry. And some of the affected people are church members. And let's protect the credibility, the niche of the church. The church must be respected. People, we must not joke with our credibility, our integrity. And that's why we must get on board. But as we get on board, protect the credibility of the church. Now, as I conclude, and this is where I will want to give this book. We can discuss, I hear also preach this morning about Christian advocacy. There's something we call Christian public witness. You see, you read a Bible, especially Acts 10:38, where it says Jesus went about doing good. Ministry can be done in the cathedral and outside the cathedral. You can give the books out. When you do what we are doing, we call it Christian public witness. How do we bring faith perspectives into the public arena? It's a ministry. And if you are ESR director, big brother, this is a calling. See it as a ministry. It's not like post. It's a calling to bring faith perspectives into the public domain. And you see it, and because you have, let me read a portion, those who already have it, page 10. Quickly read with me. And advocacy, this one, paying attention to Christian advocacy. I'm reading the first paragraph of page 10. Advocacy is pleading the cause of another, siding with, vindicating, pleading, and making recommendations on behalf of others. And being ESR director, you have been properly positioned to be there for others. But the bin is so vulnerable. So you stand in the gap. And we are saying that the next line, advocacy is giving, it can be done privately or public support to a person. You can do advocacy for a person, an idea. Idea, peace is an idea. An institution, election, a course of action. Voter registration is ongoing. Accident on our road. Yesterday or day before, 22 people died on the Kintampo road. Likely some of them is maybe church members. A cause, accident on our road. A belief, of course. You can also do advocacy for prayer, holiness, giving, and soul winning and all that. I just want to read at least that chapter and you get what I'm saying. So in conclusion, let me leave you with this. Jeremiah 29, verse 7. This is Bible. And at this stage, Israel have become exile refugees in Babylon. And the Lord in Jeremiah 29 gave a prophecy, but gave instruction. Seek the peace and prosperity of the city Babylon, to which I have carried you into exile. If you are in exile, you want to curse your people. That should be your language. You don't seek the peace and prosperity of your enemies. You understand? But Jehovah instructed God's people that the city where you find yourself, despite the pain, despite the harm, all that you are going through, you seek the peace and prosperity. Why? Because it is in His peace that you have your peace. Now, even here, we're talking about enemies. Ghana is our Ghana. This is where you must derive your passion from. That even in Babylon, God said they should seek the peace and prosperity of enemy state. And I'm a Ghanaian. And the Lord says that close to election, that is the essence of the peace project. Peace and prosperity. Why? Because if we have a peaceful nation, my children can go to school, I will not be worried. My wife can go to market, I will not be worried. My mother can go to farm, I will not be worried. Seek the peace and prosperity. And the last one is Ezekiel 22 verse 30. And I pray and hope if you've never preached this sermon, go home and preach it for the first time. Ezekiel 22 is one of the most painful verses in Bible. I pray that this verse will never be said about any Christian, any pastor, any church, anywhere. This time, God, this one is God. The first one is still God. I look for someone among them, among believers. At this stage, there were seers, prophets in Israel. There were people in the temple. But God, Jehovah God said, I look for someone among them, all the Presbyterian, YPG, Youth Men's Fellowship, to build a wall and stand before me in the gap on behalf of the land, so that they will not be destroyed. I will not destroy them. And God said, I find no one. I ask myself, what's the essence of ministers' conference? If all our ministers, God will come and cannot get one to stand in the gap. What's the essence of ministers' spouses? What's the essence of, Papa, sorry, but what's the essence of our presbytery chairpersons? If God cannot find one. Immense. The story must be that anytime God is searching for somebody among us to stand in the gap, God will find at least those of us attending this year's workshop. God richly bless you.
We can do better than this. Let us appreciate him. Papa? By the grace of God, we have in our midst the Asante Presbytery chairperson. So I thought maybe you give your decision before we read. Papa has time with us, so we'll give room for questions. Room for questions. Yeah, after the lecture, then chairperson will greet us. Room for questions. So if you have questions, raise up your hand. I'll give you answers. I'll give you numbers. Number. If you have any question to ask, kindly raise your hand. I'll give you numbers. Number 1, Papa Lawete, Papa Bronoma. 2, bright. 3, 4, green. What is white?
4 so we do the first 4.
Yeah, the first 4. Yes, number 1. Question 1.
Yeah, thank you, convener. I want to thank God for the life of our speaker, Dr. Opuni. Each time I listen to you, I see the gift that God has given to you to, as it were, build a wall and also build a bridge. The other day when I listened to you in PCC, when we were having all ministers conference, and the way you were able to carry the entire conference, I see that gift in you, and I pray that you continue with that. Now, peace, for all we know, is a valuable commodity, very expensive. But whether you have peace or not, it depends on what transpired in the past that you carry up to the present. So if you should have just election and have people dying, 8 people dying, it means that something transpired in the past and we're not able to contain it well. That have resulted in what we are experiencing. And you also help us to understand that we should be able to bring faith perspective into the public arena or public domain. And when you were ending, you call our attention to what God told Ezekiel about looking for a single person who stand in the gap. Now, let me find out from you, sir, your take on the red lines that we need not cross as we advocate. I see this in the view of what transpired some time ago when our leaders were trying, the Christian leaders, the political leadership at the time, and they were being chided and, as you were, ridiculed.
Next question.
Yes, thank you.
Please be brief with your questions. Number 2.
Thank you, Chair. And I think I also add my voice to, I call him Professor Opuni Frimpong. The way he articulates his thoughts on some of the issues. But my concern has been that our church, the perception in the country is that the Presbyterian Church is the mother of a political party. It's something which is worrying to me, especially because whenever you stand somewhere to say something on political issues, you are targeted. That with this, how can we move away or erode this perception?
Good, thank you. We'll take the next question. Number 3. 3. What is it? Yeah, bright. And then green. Bright.
Yeah. Thank you, Papa. But I want to find out, per the research that you have on African leaders and looking at their attitude towards constitutions. One is about elections. They manage to get their constitutions changed so that they will have longer periods to serve. I don't know what is wrong with African leaders. That's number one. Probably you can give an answer. Number two, Papa, do you foresee this thing in Ghana in the near future? I want to ask because I don't know. Probably because Ghana is part of Africa, it's also possible that a time may come we'll have this. And the last one, Papa, sorry. The last workshop we had in Accra, Professor Kwesi made a point, and I still remember that point, that it appears that the church seems to be the last resort for the nation when it comes to advocacy issues, peace, and the rest. We also had a preparatory workshop on peace and security, and the lawyer that spoke to us made the same point, that it appears that the church seems to be the last resort when it comes to finding solution to some of those issues. Papa, what is your take on that? Do you also agree?
Okay. Now the fourth one, Reverend Quentin Green.
Thank you. Papa, as part of spiritual violence, you made mention of implication, Diabo. Yes. Does implication work in politics? Does it work? Because you see the people who are being, whether they are casting the insinuation or whatsoever on, they will be working freely and they will still be doing the wrong things. Does it really work? Thank you.
I will ask Reverend Kantanka and Odame to do a research at Antwerp and come and answer your question whether Diabo works. But why here? You wait. Even if you don't think that those things work, there are people who want to tell you, go to Antwerp. The river Antwerp is not big, a small river. But they will tell you don't cross it. You are a man of faith. You don't believe anything. But the people there, they know that it worked. But let's leave it there. But why do we have numerous accidents during elections? Have you asked yourself? Party people who go to rally camp, accident. Think about that. But whether the above works or not, Papa Kantanka and Odame, they are Kumasi people. They know they are Joe, whether those things work or not. So they will come later. But the niche of the church, this whole whether what you are here, and we work with Professor Nin and others. Look, let me tell you, this is my own example. 2016, I was the General Secretary, Christian Council. We finished the election, and the morning that they were going to announce results, I will let certain bit hang. I was called by high-profile security people in this country that run around all media houses in this country before the declaration of results. So I had special arrangement moving from one TV station to another. And as soon as I reach, they stop everything for me to address there's need for peace. We need to get our nation together. If this year is not your year, another year. And I move on. And from IGP and some of our meetings were funny. I've had high-profile security meetings, some Trinity Theological Seminary, the chapel there. When you come and we are meeting, you think we are praying, but we are not praying. They are briefing us. And when they tell you that we reach a point and the only hope is the church, and that is why that niche and credibility, we should not joke. So 2016, me, the kind of work I know, I was tasked to do. Some Presbyterians offer. Almost all the main media houses in Accra, I touched everyone. And some people were monitoring my movement. And it was arranged. So this kind of thing, that's why I say see it as a ministry. It's not like post be now, but the vacancy be now. It's not just filling a vacancy. They need somebody to be ESR presbytery director, and they say, "Are you quiet?" It's not. It's a calling. Even if the chairperson who pick you, so an old friend, and see it as a ministry, because we reach a point and we become instruments of God. We are that tools in the hands of God to save a situation. Please, this I can, and I have done this in Angola. I have done it in DR Congo, and I'm telling you, and recently we're in Liberia. We become the only hope. So that one there, Bright, is true. Then you are asking questions, but let's protect the niche. Now that's the problem. Nkrofo no bi omo ba nanu ya, omo ntiase, omo kase boom 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 boom. Omo higher and they are all prophet and a man of God, prophet, one prophet. Some are even deputy God. Now, a brother asked question, dictatorship of majority, what is wrong with African leaders? And you're asking if it can happen here. It doesn't happen one day. It's a process. So if you have a party in government controlling and ours, we call it winner takes all. IES set up a committee to run around the whole country researching on winner takes all. Justice Emishaw was our chairman. I was a member. Now the way it works, you have president in Ghana who appoint IGP, chief of defense staff, everybody. And they all want to pay allegiance to him. And so if you have a party in government and the president want the IGP to do something, they order what they call order from above. You arrest somebody and they say order from above. Jan. So normally you see party in power. When their people misbehave, they can arrest them. We haven't seen that. If you are a minority, but those in power, where and that is dictatorship of majority, even if it's not on the larger scale like you find in the countries that are listed, is there. And we must be worried. What is wrong with African leaders? I don't know. But maybe one day you become president and see what will happen yesterday. The president is coming on horses. Fine. Even churches, there are church leaders. One time so years ni bi aka. Church create me manipulate. Then also Fabronoma, this notion, and you are the ESR people, PCG will be 200 years in 6-7 years to come. You know that. Our colors have always been what Papa Ernest is wearing. NPP is 30-something years. NPP Beto Presby Church. Now you see blue, red, white. Papa, your flag. Take any Presby thing. And yet MPP for Nemaya color. So our churches have always been decorated with red, blue, white, with green. Why? It may be coincidence. Any occasion, people enter, they see our colors, and it's like they are in MPP environment. I don't know the crime. Also for a crime. That's our colors. But even now, the green, we project it. But some people still don't want to agree with us. There's nothing this one. PCG cannot change our colors to suit MPP. Papa, I mean, when I finish, come and tell us your experience. Yes. So, Papa, NPP, whatever thing people talk about, it is true that David Dante was Christian Council General Secretary. And you know, David Dante was a Presbyterian. He and Palmer Bako and the others stood up against Rawlings and they campaigned against till finally, even when Ghana Bar Association pulled out from the Constituency Assembly, David Dante and other GBK Usu, they were all, and they were threats. At the point, close your ears. Mama Bako, they wanted to kill him. They sent somebody, arrested the wrong person, killed him and dumped the person at Toko. So all those, including David Dante, then General Secretary, Christian Council. GPCC chairman was Bakuna Okwansana. He's now in wheelchair. To me, they wanted to kill him. So those who were fighting, then PNDCP, whatever, were people who were close to the mainline churches. So it's like they became, out of PNDC, NDC emerged. These are the issues. But I will still come back to the point that PCG, we have our colors before MPP. Also for that, you have suffered that before.
Yes. If those at the head office, you with Mr. Ohinekwafu, the Director of Administration and Human Resource Manager, when I was a member of GAC, it was one of the things I always want to draw his attention when we go to GA and decoration. There have been a few occasions, quickly they have to add the green. You know, when we add the green, I don't know anyone would have a problem with us associating it with the party. The green forms a significant part. That's the, yes. So that is the trick for me. So I always buttress that point. Wherever I go, that add the green, you know, or if you like, don't mix the three together. If red and white is here, if you don't have the green, assuming you have only the three, don't put the three together. Blue and white is here, white and red is here, so that it makes a little difference. Other than that, they wouldn't understand.
Asafo, this is free consultancy. You dash him your lunch, but this is how we can. But still, we should not feel intimidated about this. Even though it is true out there, especially if NDC is in power and they are coming to Presby Church, and you don't do it, they leave that, and I say MPP for. So let's be mindful of what he has told us. But it's a challenge for us. Now, the last one that our brother, the red lines, the challenges. Now, MPP is in power. So all our advocacy will go to them. And now NDC people are happy. If you say anything about MPP now, they are happy. NPP people think you are NDC. And NDC people think because you are saying what they want to hear, now you are NDC. I have suffered that. Let's have a change of government. I'm just thinking aloud. And you have the other, the tables turn. When NDC was in power and we were addressing national issues, I think MPP people thought I was MPP. They were happy with me. When the tables turn, you address, and they are in governance. So their issues must be addressed. Then somebody meet you, and they say they work with NDC. So that I'm MPP. To me, it's a ministry. We are there now. Una also near nam guapaso or no before. One nam guapaso into 1 But when I say those things, I don't say because I'm MPP or NDC. Me, you be. I don't do the bidding of any. Professor Mate has suffered this. He was then the moderator, PCG spokesperson, and then chairman Christian Council spokesperson. Now he's a pensioner. Onye moderator, onye Christian Council. Now you hear every day, where is Professor Mate? He said those things because he was moderator. So now we suffer that. The very same thing you say that they will clap for you today, tomorrow you say the same, and the very people will come and attack you. Also, for Diabo, does it work or it doesn't work?
Diabo doesn't work. It works at the same time. So you have to be flexible. If you don't offend the person, it will hit you. So it works and it doesn't work. I don't want to be. So don't offend anybody. You offend the person, it works. If you don't offend the person, it's waste. It won't work. Thank you.
Papa, you talked about how ministers can play the middle role without being too partisan, and being political. We are all political. So you cited the example of that Methodist minister who was ministering and was talking about his role, and he went overboard. That middle role play is something that we need as ministers so that we can be able to address the issues and yet not be seen as with this party or with that party. For instance, your role, since you are always on whoever, whatever people may conjecture around you, comes out to that, okay, he did that, he was fair to that, so he's playing the middle role. That middle role, how do we go about that?
Thank you, Papa. Papa, in your presentation, you told us, and it is true, that a lot of these politicians are Presbyterians or Christians. Now, what is preventing the leadership of the church and probably the minister from inviting whoever is in political leadership and having a talk for advice, widely from the assembly member? And I know there are Presbyterians who are members of parliament. When is the leadership of the church inviting them for advice, or the president, or what is preventing the ministers or the leadership of the church inviting them personally, one-on-one? And I know if the president is a Presbyterian and the moderator sends an invitation to him, he will respond. He will respond.
Here we have an online question. So,
yes, online question. How do we strengthen our ministers effectively to deal with the issue of peace? The subject peace remains so multifaceted and multidisciplinary in approach. Now, the second question.